Well, it's been a little bit for me, maybe even a little bit for you. I don't know. It depends on if I've remembered to upload stuff in time. College football 26 has taken over my life. What can I say? It's been a little bit, though, since I've done anything here with this Vancouver run that we are not entirely done with. Even if the original idea behind this was to earn phones, that's just not going to happen. I still have no idea how to do that. It's impossible. As far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as owning phones. Yeah, that's not going to happen. But this team could still do very, very good things, you know? I think it's worth following along, of course. And you look at him, I mean, that top line is hilarious, right? Like Daniel Sprong, who in real life just signed over to go to the KHL, where I imagine he is going to destroy worlds because he doesn't have to play as much defense anymore. He's going to be fine. And, of course, Nikita Sherbak has turned into one of the best players in the league, which is also hilarious. But it's like, yeah, we just have a good young talent on this team. We're still just kind of waiting for them to turn the corner. One thing I want to do, though, is just very quickly, right? Let's take a glancery look at what the rest of the league looks like to see if they even look really all that different. And I mean, obviously a team like the Ducks, like we're going to have dudes like Smoskowitz and Lazarev where it's like, who the hell is that? But obviously you're going to have players that they had, you know, in real life that have gone through, developed a little bit. And I mean, that Ducks team isn't that bad. They still have John Gibson at a 91. Definitely wait like another decade before you trade him, though. Arizona, I mean, in this timeline, Toby Reeder, Brendan Perlini, they're sick. Nick Merkley is really good. Seth Griffith, who they must have gotten from the Bruins. Gabriel Paquin-Boudreau, also there. That is a really fun Coyotes team. Carignan Labe, what the fuck? Okay, holy names. Beautiful. Steve Mason as their starter. Okay. Bruins with, Jack Virtanen. Of course, we got rid of him, but David Pasternak, of course, still there. Ryan Spooner in this timeline kind of panned out. Guy Bergeron being the 3C is crazy. David Krejci's the 4C. For goodness sakes. And look, Zabora wasn't that bad. Lozon, of course. And Tuukka Rask, Malcolm Subban in goal, because again, in this timeline, Malcolm Subban's more than like a fringe backup. Of course, you have Buffalo, good old Evander Kane, and Milan Lucic on the same team. In this timeline, they haven't given up on Sam Reinhart. I think it's Giorgio Estefan has actually panned out pretty well, too. Defensively, got to Zach Bogosian, recent retirement, of course. I mean, that defense isn't too bad. Leonard and Bowman in goal. Zach Bowman, I would imagine. Certainly a combination. Calgary, I was going to say led by Johnny Gaudreau, but I mean, it's Granlund who's leading the way in terms of overall rating. They have Sonny Milano. Emile Poirier, of course, turns out in this timeline. Interesting defense, like Ryan Culkin's out there. And then in goal, Mason McDonald and Bureau, two guys who did not develop in real life. Carolina, of course, Jeff Skinner's still there. Lyndon Vay ended up being really good in this timeline. You have on defense Ryan Murphy, Roland McCown, bunch of dudes. Keegan Lowe, that just did not make it at all. David Altshuler, who did not make it at all. We love a good alternate timeline, though, right? Chicago still led by Tannen Caves. No real surprise there. Joey Heishin on the third line. It's a shame injuries took that guy down. He could have been pretty good. Ville Polka. That was, that's a good name from the past. He also just didn't really work out at the NHL level. Now, did he? Colorado with Landeskog, McKinnon, Rick Nash. That's insane. That is a dream top line. Shout out to Connor Bleakley, by the way. Absolute beast. Zadorov, Barry, Chris Bigris, Cody Corbett. They have in goal Varlamov and Spencer Martin. Okay. Columbus. 96 overall, Ryan Johansson. Good Lord. Good Lord. I wish he actually ended up being that good. That way my Johansson Blue Jackets jersey would be a little bit easier to look at. Shout out to Bobrovsky and Darcy Kemper. Stanley Cups between them. Multiple, actually. Well, not for Kemper, but you get the point. Total Stanley Cups is what I'm talking about. Damn it. Ben Sagan, the Chushkin. I mean, pretty good top line there for Dallas. Dominic Machine and Klingberg Machine. He looked like he was going to pan out for Tampa, and then he didn't. Pretty common theme here. Detroit, Tatar, Helm, Nyquist as a top line. Okay. All right. Defensively, Danny DeKeyser and Mike Green. That is a hell of a top pairing. And then Petr Mrazek still the starter in Detroit. Oilers have Hall, McDavid. Dude, McDavid's only an 89. All this time in, he's only an 89 with Jordan Eberle. I mean, that top six is hilarious, though, and probably what the top six for the Oilers should have been. Except, they didn't keep Taylor Hall. They didn't keep Jordan Eberle. And now Yakupov. That they were right to not keep him. Griffin Reinhart in this timeline is also really good. Shout out to Oscar Klefbom as well. Another player that injuries just took down. He was on Florida here. Pacioretty, Barkov, Huberdeau. Good Lord. It was a really, really good top line. Of course, this was back in the day where EA is like, oh, Max Pacioretty is like 6'2", 6'3". He must be a power forward. So annoying. And dude, Eric Goodbranson's a 92 while Aaron Ekblad's a 95. The greatest defense pairing of all time. And they have Michael McNiven as one of their two guys with Verhelst. There you go, the Florida Panthers. They are legit. Man, Spencer Watson was so good in this game next to Kopitar and Toffoli. Holy Toffoli. But Spencer Watson, good Lord. Got Muzzin and Doughty as their top defense pairing. It's just a really interesting combination of dudes that panned out and dudes that didn't. Then Minnesota's top line is Zucker, Granlund, Niederreiter. Like, look, good players, but man, is Minnesota outshined by some of these other teams, Holy, they got the Hellebuck and Dubnyk. That's not too bad. Till the playoffs come around. Montreal with a dude named Cobham, Galchenyuk, and Gallagher. That is a very weird Montreal team. Eric Stahl's there, though, a little bit early. Just don't ask him what jersey he wore yesterday. Tenorti and Subban, top pairing, and then goalies. Carey Price, number one goalie, with Martin Jones. Nashville, Damian Riot's their top center. Holy hell. What an interesting set of lines there, given that Craig Smith is an 86 on the third line. Even back then, the AI was just like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing. I'm just going to put people there. Yossi, Jones, Weber, and Ellis. That is a, Olympic caliber defense right there, with the exception of Gow, who did not. I don't even know if that person's real, honestly. Hicks and Rene in goal. New Jersey with Zaka, Henrique, and Hoffman. All right, I mean, hey, it could be worse. And Larson, Severson for their top pairing. They got Luke Shen on that roster. Schneider and Blackwood in goal, which in theory isn't that bad. Islanders, Dalcol, Tavares, Okposo as a top line. Bars all on the third. And Letty and Luke Green. Ryan Pilon as well. Guys that just did not make it. Halak and Soderstrom. Another recent retirement, man. Damn. Rangers with Kreider, Hayes, Bodker for a top line. Ryan Gropp in there, former Maine Mariner. Defensively, McDonough and Mark Stahl. Marty Marincin and Jordy Ben. And in goal, Fleury as a Ranger. Ew. Ottawa, Bobby Ryan, Kyle Turris, Mark Stone. That's a really good top line. Shane Prince, of course, pans out in this timeline. They got Cody Ceci, Erik Karlsson as a top pairing. That is quite the defense for the Sens. Goalie, Vautour and Kemppanen. Okay. Philadelphia with Wayne Simmons, Claude Giroux, Jake Voracek. It makes sense to me. Of course, Travis Konechny looks really good on that second line. Defense, Hedman and Goss to spare. So in this timeline, Philly couldn't steal away Shea Weber, but they did manage to get Victor Hedman. So still pretty jealous about that. Let's see, Pittsburgh, Hornqvist, Crosby, Kessel. Of course, Malkin's still there. Defensively, they have Mata and Letang. And in goal, Andrew Hammond and a dude named Bonino. They are definitely missing Matt Murray and Marc-Andre Fleury. Sharks have Hurdle, Couture, and Tommy Wingles. Top liner Tommy Wingles. Let's go. Oh, my God. Chris Tierney, by the way, 88. Damn. And Mirko Mueller and Mark-Edouard Vlasic. That is, who the hell is McNulty? Holy shiz. And in goal, Ramo and Skinner. Okay. St. Louis, Jaden Schwartz, Barbashev, Tarasenko. That's a pretty good top line. Can't hate on that. Defensively, Shattenkirk, Pietrangelo. Tommy Vanelli ends up being really good in this game. And in goal, Hofflin and Allen. Okay. Tampa, Drouin, Stamkos, Palat. Holy God. Also, they have a 76 overall second line center. That's insane. Defensively, D'Angelo, Strawman. Shout out to Matt Spencer. Rebuilding Hockey Town. GOAT for a reason. Vasilevsky at an 83. Leafs have JVR, Freddie Gauthier, and Dmytro Timashov. Slightly different than what we were building up before NHL 16 deleted my save file. Certainly a little bit different. 93 overall Morgan Riley, though. Not bad. And goalies Graham and Bernier ended up sticking around. And, of course, Washington, Ovechkin, Backstrom, Burakovsky. It's just a pretty good Washington team, really. Especially that top six. Defense is Carrick and Carlson. Who do they have in goal? Braden Holtby, of course. The boogeyman himself. And then Winnipeg, Vanek, Scheifele, Wheeler. Another recent retirement with Blake Wheeler. It's weird, man. It is weird. Schletting, 89 overall with Tyler Myers. Goodness. And in goal, Comrie and Anderson. Damn. So, do we have like a decent core kind of roster developing so far? Yes, we do. Do we have anywhere near the best roster in the league right now? No. Like, I know we have Clark, and we haven't, signed him yet. Guys like Richie and Day are getting that much closer. And then, of course, in goal, we have Pickard already, but you still have guys like, Robidoux, who's close, and, of course, Fucale's on the roster. And then draft pick-wise, right? Like, we got Florida's pick this year, which is pretty good. We still got some work to do. We absolutely still have some work to do here if we are going to be able to make a strong push. Now, maybe we still have what it takes to make the playoffs this year. That's kind of a big if. And hopefully the sim speed won't be too bad here. I'm pretty sure I didn't turn the trade block or anything like that back on, although this is certainly taking a minute. 5-1 loss to Calgary. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll be able to sneak into the playoffs this season. Maybe we won't. I'm not quite sure. But, talking about like, oh yeah, man, all these recent retirements and everything, like I've definitely been thinking about that. I haven't gotten the chance to really be like, hey, hockey, and here's what's going on. But it's interesting, right? Because from the NHL perspective, we're just kind of waiting to see what's going to happen with a lot of these teams. Like, you still have San Jose and Anaheim with $20 and like $21 million in cap space, respectively, which is crazy. And it's just like, what are these teams going to do? Will we see, you can't say anymore that you'll never see offer sheets, right? Like St. Louis did it last year to Edmonton, and it's like there's still some decent RFAs out there. Mainly, for the love of God, somebody go after Mason McTavish, because it would be fun. Damn it, it would be fun. We want silly nonsense. My favorite thing about that is seeing people be like, oh, well, why would somebody offer sheet Mason McTavish? The Ducks will just match it. What if they don't? Then you get Mason McTavish. Even if you're having to overspend for him, you still end up with Mason McTavish, who is a very, very good player to have. So I never really understood that narrative of like, well, the team's just going to match for him, so let's not do that. Doesn't really make sense to me, right? And it's like, McTavish is probably the biggest name, but it's like, even like you had the interest with like the Leafs and Nick Robertson, and if they're going to be able to sign him, Marco Rossi, obviously, who Minnesota just apparently decided we do not want anymore, which I still think is really weird, but also a very Bill Guerin thing to do. Even like Calgary, like Connor Zary at the time of recording this is still an RFA. Like, there is space. Luke Hughes is an RFA. seriously, there's no reason for, like, the San Jose Sharks to not offer, up to a second-round pick in terms of salary to try to get Luke Hughes and really force New Jersey's hand, Like, if you're the Sharks, you don't want to risk giving up a first-round pick or something like that, but you can still give up enough to kind of put the Sharks into a weird spot. But, then I guess the counter-argument is, well, it's not a video game, so, you don't want to, I guess, get other GMs mad at you or whatever. I don't know. I just always thought the logic was a bit odd. It's as if, like, there's no honor amongst thieves or some stupid old saying like that. Like, who cares? Do what you got to do to make your team better. It's fine. And there's some sick RFAs out there right now. Because UFAs, can I interest you in Jack Roslovic maybe? Like, there's really nobody left that we're waiting for. With respect to these players, the best forward left is probably Jack Roslovic, and the best defenseman left is Matt Grzelcyk, who I love Matt Grzelcyk, but you get the point, right? So any intrigue at this point is either going to come through trades or the RFA market, and it's like, can something just happen? Please, give us something interesting. Let's not wait any longer. Give us fun stuff, please, because it's not overly interesting to be like, yes, the Sharks and Avalanche exchanged prospects who probably aren't going to pan out, just like the last time they exchanged prospects who ultimately didn't pan out, Let alone being like, oh my God, the Leafs traded for Dakota Joshua. Like, at least that one was a little bit more interesting, I guess, right? At least that one was a tiny bit more interesting. Which I found it funny, right? I didn't really get a chance to talk about this. I mean, that deal happened almost 2 weeks ago. But I just love the idea of, like, oh my God, Dakota Joshua's overpaid. Have you seen what the Toronto Maple Leafs are doing with their roster? Like, maybe I'm just haunted by 2019, right? Maybe I am. Maybe I'm just, it's PTSD as a Bruins fan. Look at that Toronto Maple Leafs lineup. The projected lineup for what the Leafs probably have this year. And yes, I know they lost Mitch Marner, but I just find it funny when people are like, oh my, Dakota Joshua, why would they get him? I will reiterate, look at that lineup and then remind yourself of who the coach is for that team. The Toronto Maple Leafs are building, God, I hate to say it because, again, 2019, they are building a Craig Berube-style offense. They are. They are getting bigger. They are getting meaner when it comes to the type of team that they are building up, right? And at the same time, they have skill. And, of course, you have a player like Matthew Nye is now, re-signed, who's like the perfect blend of skill and, the physicality that they're looking to display. Like, he's the middleman there. But it's like, I get the idea of, like, okay, you lost Mitch Marner, but you did get Nick Waugh. That's some physicality. You brought in Dakota Joshua. That's physicality. You still have Scott Laughton and Steven Lorentz and Simone Benoit. Like, that Leafs roster is, I think it deserves better credit than what a lot of people have given it over the last 2 weeks. But again, maybe I'm just overly focusing on 2019 and the type of roster that Craig Berube won the Stanley Cup with before. Boy, I wonder why I would be focused on that and telling people that maybe they should be just a little bit more focused on it themselves. I wonder why that would possibly come to mind, right? So, again, like with the NHL, it's like there is stuff going on. Like, there's some fun stuff. Then there's, like, let's be honest, right? Like, a good amount of the talk over the last week was the results of the Hockey Canada case and just people relentlessly going back and forth between, well, not being found guilty doesn't mean that they're necessarily innocent, and of course other people who are taking a victory lap being like, see, I told you that woman was a liar, and then like just like who the fuck even wants to get into that conversation, right? Like you guys know, right? If you've been a fan of this channel for a while, or even when the podcast was going, which who knows might come back for next season. There's been a lot of not fun hockey things to talk about over the last like 4 to 5 years, right? And it's, when you have more like serious conversations going on when it comes to sexual assault cases, or, are they actually properly going to react to the fact that a hockey player died on the ice, which they are, right? Like neck guards were going to be made mandatory with the next CBA extension and stuff like that. It's a little bit difficult to be like, hey, talking about RFAs is fun. But who knows? Maybe we're finally kind of turning the corner towards hockey being just a little bit more exclusively fun to talk about, as opposed to a bunch of the negative aspects to it, right? But you do need people to then actually, like, oh, I don't know, offer sheet somebody, make an interesting trade or 2 or 7. Like, let's get ridiculous here. But let's be honest, right? It's the end of July. Ridiculous season is already over with. The most ridiculous we're getting is, Isaac Howard going to Edmonton. That's about it. And if not, then you can count this video as kind of, goading the hockey world, getting the, like, oh, yeah, you think nothing's going to happen? We'll show you. And, hopefully cool things happen, I would say. That's about that. That's about it. I don't know. Again, somebody offer sheet Mason McTavish. Can we have some fun? Can we have some silly season fun, please? It would be a great time. A great time. Speaking of a great time, not this season. 2018-3. We're not bad, but again, we're not great. And I think that was to be expected, right? That's why I wanted to take a look around the league and see, like, oh, okay, cool. What's actually going on? How do we measure up? How do we compare to a good amount of the rest of the league? And like I said, maybe, and it still could happen, that we sneak into the playoffs for the back half of the season. Obviously, we'll have to do just a little bit better at the deadline. Can't imagine that we'll actually be adding to the team. It'll probably be, trying to strip parts away again, if there's anything to actually give away. Also depends on, what offers we get, stuff like that. But, 500 hockey team. Not a bad team, not a great team. That was pretty much to be expected. But with that, you know what? I mean, we'll keep it going. Why not? That way you can at least see some of the scouting approaches and stuff like that. Like, I do wish the sim speed for this was just a little bit faster, but, that is what it is now, isn't it? That is what it is. Again, every time people are just like, oh, man, these games are so much better. It's like, well, some things have gotten better. Granted, you could say that's due to console or whatever it might be, but some things have gotten better, So try to remember that and appreciate faster sim speeds, because, this 360 PS3 era set of games, it can take a long goddamn time to do anything. Like, let's be honest. Like, if we were simming this on NHL 25, we would have been through this season like 3 minutes ago. It certainly would already be past the deadline. But, all right, scouting-wise, I think we need to keep looking at defensemen. There's a couple of top 10 defensemen apparently coming out of the U.S., so we'll go there for 2 weeks. And we still have a little over a month to go until the trade deadline. Like I said, there's no shot that we're adding to this team to try to make us better and to try and win this season. There's just no way that is in the cards for us, and maybe we sneak into the playoffs and some crazy voodoo magic happens, but yeah, I don't really think that's going to be the case based off of how this team is looking. But, hey, we beat Detroit 6-0. I mean, granted, they probably had Petr Mrazek in goal, so was it really that much of an accomplishment? But as they say, a win is a win. We also beat Pittsburgh. But, of course, we know that they were missing Marc-Andre Fleury. So again, is it that much of an accomplishment? I don't know. But, all right. Let's see. We got Toronto, St. Louis, and we have that trip to the U.S. done. Keep looking at defensemen for the moment. I feel like there's going to be a lot more that we haven't looked at scouting-wise. Got a dude out of the SHL. Russia's looking decent for defensemen. The Dub, mainly looking for first-round projected dudes that we just have no information on. U.S.-based defenders look insane this year. We're definitely going to have to scout out a few more of these guys. But, all right, let's go to forwards. Again, I don't think... Aha, top 10. There we go. I was going to say, I don't think we're going to have to scout out goalies. We should be good. The goaltending for this series should be taken care of with somebody like Pickard in the mix. At least I would hope. A lot of famous last words, but win-loss, win-loss, loss-win, win. So you know we're going to lose to Edmonton, right? You know we're going to lose to Edmonton. It's coming. It's going to happen. Definitely not a successful reverse karma attempt on my side of things. And would you look at that? It actually worked. We won 3 games in a row. That is a winning streak. Can you believe it? Can you? But, all right, 2 weeks out from the deadline. We're actually up to 30, 24, and 4. I really can't complain about this. We're still not adding, right? Come on, there's no way we could actually add at the deadline to try to make this team better and to try to win the cup this year, right? Although our first-round pick can definitely be moved. It's not going to be a high first-round pick. So maybe if there's another good prospect out there, we need more information about those 2 guys out of the OHL. I don't know. That first-round pick is definitely movable. Of course, again, only one phone to work with. So we can't do all that much. 6 years to simulate. Man, we won 3 games earlier this month. Now we've lost 3 in a row. Come on, man. Come on. What a pain. What a pain. But there we go. March 1st, almost. If we can get past this Ottawa game. There we go. March 1st, 2021. I remember it, well, not so fondly, because, I mean, obviously 2021 wasn't great. Negative 39 reputation. Time to ruin it with some potential trades as we will get the block set up. What do we want? I don't know. Whatever people will offer us. I don't even care. Just give me interesting trade offers. Fully open block. Just give me interesting offers. I also don't even know what our cap situation is right now. I know we were compliant for the start of the year, but I can't remember how much maneuverability we actually have, and that is okay. But, yeah, I mean, just before the deadline, and with those losses, 31, 28, and 4, it's not great. But Daniel Sprong might hit 30 goals this year. Horvat and Theodore in the same deal, no shot. No shot. And here we go. Trade deadline time. Edmonton is calling. 2 first-rounders for Horvat, McCann. They would also give us Teddy Purcell, who is 35 at this point. I mean, again, those 2 first-rounders could be anything. They could even be Bo Horvat and Jared McCann. I want to see Skaters giving away. The Ducks looking to give away some of the veterans. Is there a team out there? Man, Bergeron's on the block, too. This would have been a good year to add just off of Anaheim and Boston alone. Rick Nash. Ooh, Prohorkin? 4 Green Star Vyacheslav Prohorkin. Okay, Columbus. Definitely in our line of sight right now. What about Hutton? Not as good. So, yeah, that first-round pick of ours, we can definitely move that and still be okay. And, if we can get that, dude, we'll be good to go. Veshy, not quite as good. What else do we have? Nashville trying to move Korea. Also not as good as the 4 Green Star. Islanders looking to move Brodziak, Kreider, Stahl. Yeah, this was a great year to add at the deadline to try to put your team over the top, but we're not there yet. You know? We are not there yet. There is an argument to say, well, screw it. Go after one of those guys anyway. But, yeah, I don't think that's going to happen. But Columbus with this defenseman, Prohorkin, what is our first-round pick worth? Our first-round pick is actually still worth a decent amount. But I wouldn't be surprised if we continue to be better down the stretch, right? And I mean, we have Florida's first-rounder, which isn't worth as much as ours. So maybe we do try to make a deal here. We'll have to give up a smidge more, but we can do that. I mean, I might get in trouble for tacking on, like, Ernie, Jeffrey on. But what if we do that? I mean, whatever. I don't even care about getting in trouble anymore. So all these dudes that just aren't going to pan out, if we use these 4 and that Florida first, done deal. And apparently we got fleeced, but again, whatever. I don't even care about the reputation anymore. We get a really, really good prospect, as Anaheim got a first-round pick for Stefan Nason, so imagine what we would have to give up to get, like, Getzlaf, you know? Minnesota's calling again. They still want Bo Horvat. That is just absolutely not going to happen. Oh, but is there a move for us then to maybe improve? Like Pickard and Fekale are looking great. Again, Pickard, he's still dirt cheap. I mean, there is an argument of, like, do we move Zach Fekale, which we can't right now because of the cap space. We'd have to take back a different cap whale in a deal. But we could definitely look to make that change. Defensively, Bowie, Theodore, Bean, Tanev, Burns, Irwin, Jarrett's there. I mean, there's really not much to improve defensively, unless we were to move Brent Burns to a depth role. We're definitely not taking Ralph Jarrett out of the lineup with how good that guy is. Right wing side, Sherbak, Sprong. I mean, Clark and Cox are both ready to go. Malay is right there. Of course, we got Cora Stelev in the lineup. Left wing side, Shinkarik. I mean, like, again, could we add to this team right now? Yes, we could. Easily. Is it worth it? But again, I think our first-round pick isn't going to be great. But I mean, like, Getzlaf, Perry, Kessler, they are all on expiring deals, which is nuts. And then Boston had, like, Krejci, Annick Hansen, Jack Johnson. I mean, they definitely got some veterans as well. I mean, Anaheim would be interesting, right? To even, like, bring back Ryan Kessler. Let him retire as a Canuck. But is it worth giving up a first-round pick, even if it's a lower first-round pick, just to have Ryan Kessler? Like, not really. At least with Florida, we got a prospect back. So, or Columbus, excuse me, with the Florida pick to get Prohorkin. It's just not worth adding right now. It just isn't. So, if we get another interesting deal, I'm willing to listen. As Columbus got Nino Niederreiter. Columbus is making moves. Surprised it wasn't the Florida first that they used to get that done. Pittsburgh is calling. Bo Horvat for a first and Victor Stahlberg. Not going to happen. There was another 4-star out there. Maybe it is worth keeping our pick, especially if the value was that good. I forget what team it was that had a 4 gold star prospect. It might have been more than one team. Yeah, like Gabriel Faith, 20 years old, 73 overall. Like, can we get a player that good in the draft? It's like a pick in the mid-teens. Maybe. I mean, at the very least, if we keep our own first, we can kind of use it strategically. You know? So I think we will keep our first. The Florida one was worth moving. Like, if we had to use our own to get that deal done, we would have. There we go. Wow. I saw Faith, and then it's like, oh, Malay is there. This is a tough one. 4.5 red or a 4-star gold. But the difference is Malay is, dude, he's NHL ready. He's an 82. Like, even if it's like, oh, man, like the red star, it's like he's already better and might be better than that guy ever gets. As Columbus gets JT Miller. Holy hell. Niederreiter, JT Miller. They are just wheeling and dealing, and they use the pick that I sent them to get JT Miller. Well, you're welcome, Columbus, for helping facilitate quite an interesting bounce back at the deadline here. You are very welcome. I'll gladly take your top prospect. Really quickly, for the back half of the season, I'll try to stop the sim here. And, 31, 28, and 4. Is there anything that we can do with this roster in terms of, like, maybe some end-of-season call-ups, stuff like that? Of course, we got to keep Cam Ward on the roster here. Well, technically, we don't have to, but it makes sense to keep him there. So defensively, Irwin, of course, is ready to go, but we don't really care. Of course, Dan Hamhuis is still on the roster, so nobody there is ready to be called up quite yet. Of course, we might have to back out of the mode and go back in. It doesn't look like anybody's taken that step up, so I think our roster is still perfectly fine. We just are what we are for this season. Fair enough. Let's get it over with then. Or not, if we decide to make the playoffs, which, again, is still very, very much possible here. So the sim speed, in theory, should be faster down the stretch here because the game doesn't have as much to process in the background. Might be completely wrong, though. And we will see. I feel like we're completely wrong. I feel like it's not going that fast. But we are winning 3 in a row post-deadline, of course. So I don't trade that pick, and now we're going to screw around and actually make the freaking playoffs, right? Doesn't mean, of course, we can't trade the pick at the draft and try to trade up. But we need a bit more information on Agostino there. So let's go 2 weeks here. And we will continue to see what we are dealing with, won't we? Won't. Oh, excuse me. As we lose to Dallas 3-2. I have no idea what way this season's going to go. And it's kind of felt that way the whole time. Just not knowing what way the season was going to go. Like, 1 second we're doing pretty well. The next second we're losing 3 in a row. There just seems to be no consistency for us whatsoever this year. But we could hit 40 wins before we hit 30 losses, which is very interesting. Right, we actually might do it. We're up to 38 versus 28. So that's kind of nuts as well. And let's see, Islanders beat them as well. Dude, we're going to make the playoffs. Oh, we're going to make the playoffs, which on one hand I'm happy about. On the other, doesn't quite. It's telling me with a lot of confidence because I just don't know if we're good enough to win. But then again, if we're good enough to make the playoffs, maybe we're good enough to win, right? You never say never. You never say never. Although maybe never we lose to the Leafs. Well, we did hit 40 wins before 30 losses, which is pretty dang good. So we'll certainly take that. I mean, at 41 wins already, we have to be a playoff team, right? We got to be. Now, what I'm intrigued by is the simulating in this game. Because as we've discovered, and as we've kind of known for a long time, for a long time, these games have worked better where you're more likely to win through this version of simming as opposed to like the in-depth sim. So do we just menu sim until we're in like an elimination game situation? I'm not quite sure what I want to do. But we are on the cusp here of making the playoffs, right? Like, I mean, 42 wins. You got Daniel Sprong on 34 goals. Sherbak, a great, setup man for him. 39 wins for Pickard. The Blue Jackets are about to make the playoffs, which sounds about right. Only 51 assists for Connor McDavid as we do win there. And, I mean, yeah, again, 43 wins. Like, unless the Western Conference is just ridiculous, we're going to make the playoffs here. Let's see. Forwards. We still don't know enough about Del Zotto. Let's sim another couple weeks and see what we are dealing with here. I'm kind of happy Sprong hit 30. I don't know. In my head, I was thinking, maybe 40 is possible, but nah, it's fine. It is fine. I'm just kind of waiting to see in the message center. If we get that confirmation, we got a couple of overtime losses as well, which is pretty good. Sprong, Sherbak, and final game of the season here is against San Jose. Are we going to make the postseason? Is the question. 37 goals for Sprong, 52 assists for Sherbak. And there it is. There it is. The Vancouver Canucks are in the playoffs for the first time. 12th in the league with 43 wins, and in the Western Conference, the fourth best team, tied for the fourth best team in the Western Conference. A bunch of people on 93 points, as Chicago makes it on 87. I mean, it wasn't a particularly weak conference this year. The St. Louis Blues are insane. But we know that we will be playing Connor McDavid and company in the first round. We are the second seed? Well, technically, it's the wild card. Technically, like the second seed of the Pacific Division is how it's set up, which I'm okay with. I mean, LA, Calgary, St. Louis, Anaheim, Nashville, Chicago in the West. Obviously, you would have probably seen what the East is by now. It's a good season for a young team whose players haven't fully developed yet. Let's get a full look at the numbers for this season, and we'll see what we got going on from there. I forgot, man, some of these loading times. Holy. All right, let's see. Forward-wise, so Sherbak, 25 goals, 52 assists. He had 72 points in total for Daniel Sprong, and then the centerman between them, Pierre-Luc Dubois, 69 points, 50 assists. You had Hunter Shinkarik and Bo Horvat. Benoit Pouliot had 53 points, and then it dropped quite a bit in terms of depth. Jared McCann, unfortunately, is just not going to be what we want him to be. I mean, he could be a pretty solid, third-line center, but in real life, he's just not going to be able to replicate, like, he can score 30 goals in a season. And then Nolan Patrick, just 13 points, 4 goals in that full season. Defensively, Bowie, 54 points, is very nice. Burns still doing well. Shea Theodore, 10 points on the season for Ralph Jarrett. And then goaltending-wise, not a great record for Zach Fucale, but Riley Pickard did quite well. I mean, only a 9-12, really a 9-13. Goaltending kind of let us down a little bit compared to what they should have been able to do, really, or at least you would think. So, I mean, we definitely have some obvious issues with this team. And then league-wide, Stamkos, Kane, Drouin, Ovechkin, and Taves, top 5 in points. Goal scoring was Kane, Ovechkin, Johansson, Tarasenko, and Stamkos. And then for defensemen, Carlson led the way, OEL, Subban, Klingberg, and Aaron Ekblad. For the goalies, the winningest, you had Wyatt Hofflin for the Blues and Riley Pickard for us. Pickard played a hell of a lot more games than Hofflin did, though. then what do we have for rookie race this year? Keith Wolf, 76 overall, but he had 58 points and 31 goals for the Lightning. That is ridiculous. What was he? A 6th round pick. God damn. Frickin' Tampa, man. They always find a way, don't they? They always find a way. A little bit disappointed in Burrish. But, hey, playoff bound. We will certainly take it. I don't know if that'll help our GM rep at all. It's still negative 42. Goddamn. Goddamn. But we know exactly what to expect from the Oilers. We looked at their lineup earlier this season. And if we look at our lines here, I don't see anything to change, right? I mean, aside from, like, we could bump up Benoit Pouliot, for example. Like, Korostelev's probably fine where he is. But Pouliot still kind of feels like he has a good amount to contribute. So what if we go, let's just really, like, bump up Benoit Pouliot. Why not? And then I imagine Patrick is a better center than Osplund. 61 face-offs for him. Patrick only on a 63. But, yeah, I mean, put Benoit Pouliot with Horvat and Shinkarik, who are a pretty good 1-2 punch. It's pretty much the best thing we can do for our lines right now. The defense, there's really nothing to change unless we wanted to bump up Brent Burns a bit. But that's the team. That is the team. And, of course, in Utica, I mean, we got a bunch of guys who are right on the cusp of being NHL caliber. They're not quite there yet. And that, of course, includes the goaltending of Vevalainen and Robidoux. But I think we're good. You know what? Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's see what happens against our old pals, the Edmonton Oilers, in round number 1. David, Draisaitl, we got to look at the team earlier. Again, we know exactly what to expect. So let's do it. Let's do it. We'll even slow sim all of it here because why not? And it will be the first period with a 1-0 Edmonton lead. Teddy Purcell. You know, for some reason in my head, I confused Benoit Pouliot with Teddy Purcell. Fair enough, because we talked about Teddy Purcell earlier on, because he was involved in a trade offer. 1-0 Oilers. Second period, goal apiece, Pierre-Luc Dubois and Connor McDavid. It's so funny to see him in his OHL jersey. And you know what? We'll quick sim the third period. Let's see how this go. Oh, my God. Okay. Power play goals for Daniel Sprong and Bo Horvat. And the Canucks come back to steal game number 1. All right. We'll certainly take that. I was very much expecting a loss. PLD, Horvat, and Sherbak leading the way. And a W in the books for us in our return to the playoffs. Good way to start. Very good way to start. I am pretty damn surprised. Game number 2 then. Let's do it. Let's do it. First period, Draisaitl starts off the scoring on a power play tally. Second period, okay, another comeback for us. Power play goal for Theodore. Sherbak gave us the lead. Now Yakupov ties the game. And in the third period, dude, we are crushing it in the third. Benoit Pouliot, Sekera ties it up, but then it's Nikita Sherbak, the winner. Shea Theodore, the insurance. And we defend home ice with 2 wins to kick off this series against Edmonton. Not bad at all. Nikita Sherbak, Shea Theodore, each with 2 goals. Yakupov was up there for Edmonton. But I have no complaints about defending home ice. I mean, we outscored them 8-5. Nothing to complain about. Game number 3 in Edmonton. Let's see, even if this game from over 10 years ago now has the home team winning and losing trend. First period is scoreless, which is probably a good thing for the Oilers. Second period, 2-0 Canucks. Bowie, Horvat, both goals. And in the third period, it's a goal apiece. And McDavid Shorty immediately offset by Pouliot on the power play. A 3-1 win. And we have a 3-0 lead on Edmonton here in round number 1. 2 teams, a lot of young players looking to take that first step forward into making the playoffs, getting that first series win, and things are looking very, very good for us here in Vancouver with a 3-0 series lead. That is very surprising. Very surprising indeed, but I am not and will not complain. Are there any other forwards? Cashman, apparently top 5. Della Rivera, we don't know a ton about. Let's go 2 weeks for WHL forwards. And let's see if we can cap things off here with a sweep of Edmonton in round number 1. First period, 2-1 Oilers. Clefbaum on the power play and Connor McDavid. Sprong gets one on the backhand. I kind of like that it tells you like what type of shot it was. Not that it really matters, but still. Second period. Oh, my God, dude, the comeback efforts. Sprong on the power play. Nolan Patrick. It is the third period. The Oilers must win, and they do not. I forgot how fast times 8 was. We just swept the Edmonton Oilers. I said we might make the playoffs, and then who knows? Maybe we mess around, and it just stupid things happen. Well, we managed to beat Edmonton, and we are off to the second round, where we will play, I think it was either LA or was it LA and Calgary in the other matchup? It was, and Calgary on the verge of pulling off the upset. So it looks like we may have denied the Battle of Alberta. And, you know, maybe this could be a good year for us after all.